Hi, everybody. I just wanted to respond to some of the forum posts from last week. And first of all, I just want to say, and I know that I've said this in a couple of postings, and I know that I've said this in emails, but I am absolutely floored at some of your postings and your responses. I think that you all are amazing in your observations regarding our democracy, regarding society. And I just wanted to say that first and get that out of the way. A lot of you posted about the justice system and how that needs an overhaul and how that needs a lot of attention. I absolutely agree. A lot of you discussed equality and how equality is that component of democracy that needs a lot of attention. Again, I wholeheartedly agree. A few of you mentioned voting in elections. Some of you said something like, voting in elections seems to be the component of democracy that is fine and doesn't need to be addressed. Some of you said that there are issues with voting in elections. And I just wanted to address what I think is the primary issue when it comes to voting or participation, generally speaking, in our democracy. So, in order to understand a larger society, political scientists, statisticians, and elected officials divide our society into what are called demographics. Demographics are categories to which we all belong. We are all members of several different overlapping demographic groups. So some of the demographic groups are your age, your level of education, your income, your race, your religion. These are all different demographic categories or demographic groups to which we all belong. So, for example, I am a, Caucasian male who has a master's degree. Um, I am between ages 45 and 55. So when politicians address the issues that concern people, they often address issues according to these broad categories that we all belong to. And one of the reasons that they address issues that are of concern to these broad categories is also based on a very simple fact, and that is how likely it is that somebody who belongs in my specific demographic categories is likely to participate or is likely to vote. Generally speaking, people who are older, people who are wealthier, and also people who are religious tend to be more likely to vote than people who are younger, people who are less educated, people who earn less money. So you can see why elected officials are less likely to address the issues that concern young people, less educated people, people who earn less money. Now, I'm certainly not saying that this is a good thing. I'm just telling you this is how the system largely functions. So, when it comes to voting and participating in our democracy, a lot of young people, I tend to hear from young people who say, I voted once or twice and it doesn't really matter if you vote because, nobody that I care about ever gets elected anyway. And I felt that way when I was young as well. It was several election cycles until somebody I actually voted for was elected. But the point is this: you have to look at it, or you don't have to, but I would suggest looking at this idea of elections and voting and participation, look at it as a long game. It's not a game that only lasts one election cycle. It's a long-term game. And it takes a group of people to participate a few times until the political system starts to respond and elected officials say to themselves, okay, wait a minute, young people are actually participating right now. Therefore, I should probably address some of the issues that concern young people. So, for example, if older people are more likely to vote, which they are, it makes sense the politicians tend to address the concerns of older people, like Social Security or Medicare. Most elected officials are not willing to talk openly about dismantling Social Security or Medicare. Why? Because those are programs that older people really care a great deal about. And I promise you that if young people were more willing to go out and vote in a few elections over and over and over and participate, that the concerns of young people will absolutely begin to be met. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about this, please email me and I will happily respond. But I just wanted to get this out there and again tell you guys how incredibly happy I am about the participation that you all took part in last class, and I hope that it continues. So I'll see you next time. Bye.